Now on
Yeah.
to the man who replaced him, the man who's like the funniest fucking character I've seen in post-match press conferences.
Yeah.
Mike Smalling, notably, and the dive to the
Yeah.
referee, Mr. Louis Van Gaal. Kartik, take us away with his
Yeah.
time at.
LVG. So LVG came to us right after Moyes, well, after that season. He took over from Giggsy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And so I was on the season of 2014 to 15 was his first season. He played a total of 105 matches. We only had 54 wins and 25 losses. So that's again like a 50% almost win streak for us. So that wasn't great either. But yeah, I mean, he brought in. I think we should start with. There's a lot to talk about this guy. Like, I don't know. He was there with us for 2 seasons. He's brought in several players and players of like extremely high quality. Just to begin with, Di Maria, Martial, Shaw, Herrera, Schneiderlin, Depay, Rojo, Darmian, Daley Blind, Schweinsteiger, and Falcao on loan. Oh my god, dude! Like this was. If you just there's a starting 11 right here on this.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Yeah.
the kind of quality he brought in, and I don't know, man. I think when Moyes had left, we were in seventh position at that point, the last season. But right after that, after Van Gaal took over, we finished fourth that season. So I think we saw some amounts of improvement. But I think the biggest thing Van Gaal ever struggled with was, again, he couldn't establish a style of play. Like you could see, like every game, he was constantly confused with where to play people. And he had a completely packed squad at this point. I think the first season when he came in, like I just saw a picture while I was reading up on this guy. There was a picture with Robin Van Persie, Rooney, Falcao, and Di Maria all celebrating a goal. And you're just looking at that picture and you're just like, how did a team with so much quality
Yeah.
just finish
Mm.
fourth in that season? So yeah, dude, like it just didn't make sense. Like I don't know. I feel like Van Gaal was, I think, the beginning of this rebuilding process that we're going through right now. Because once Moyes left, a lot of our older players left too. And for Van Gaal, it was twice the job he had to do. He had to completely establish a new team. So you saw during Van Gaal's time, there were a lot of positives, like Rashford. It was the beginning of Rashford's era. That's when he started playing for us a lot. We started seeing the kind of quality he had in us. I hate to say it, but even Lingard played really well underneath him. And at that point, we weren't hating on Jesse as much as we are now. But that's Jesse's fault for sure. And yeah, I mean, what else? And yeah, David De Gea was probably his his reign of being one of the best goalkeepers in the world started under Van Gaal as well. His first season was pretty, I guess, slow, but then we saw what De Gea was capable of under like it started under Van Gaal. And yeah, he brought us some strong players like Herrera and Blind as well, who stayed for a while, who did good. Herrera especially, and he's also in one of his talks, like he also pointed out Herrera to be like probably the most significantly improved player since when he initially brought him to when he left. Like he was probably one of his best players, is what he said. So yeah, but I think his biggest issue was his strategy, and I don't think that quite worked for us. He fucked up with Di Maria as well, is what I feel. Di Maria, when he came on, as soon as we brought him, the first 2-3 games, suddenly those series of lackluster performances we had under Moyes, and when he started up Di Maria at the wing, we had probably the most incredible, like the first 2-3 games, dude, we could see what Di Maria was bringing to this team. Like the pace on the wings, the balls he was playing, the attacking prowess that he showed was phenomenal. So, but then I think what happened after that is I was reading up on this too. Van Gaal was like, I felt like Di Maria wasn't delivering enough in the winger position, which is why he moved into a more central position. He was like, for a player who I paid 18 million for, wasn't doing enough in the winger position. So I had to, I had to move him to a more central position. And that's where I think he fucked up. And I think another player he wasted too during his time was Juan Mata. He kept playing Mata on the right wing a lot when Mata was Chelsea's number 10, dude. I think I just felt like Van Gaal didn't have the patience to kind of see this team rebuild. It's like what Ollie has done, for instance. Like Ollie has stuck to his guns. Like he's stuck to his formation. He's not tried to change it around a lot. He's still playing players that they're good at. Like Rashford, for instance, like he's put Rashford on the wings, even though Rashford took a while to start scoring this season. But once he got used to that position, dude, I don't think right now Rashford in that position, there are very few players who are better than Rashford, especially in the Premier League. So, yeah, I mean, it was all. I don't feel like Van Gaal could establish that discipline with his formation because he kept changing things around way too much. So yeah, I mean that's mainly what I wanted to talk about. But we'll get into it more, guys.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's a few things again I want to counter to what you're saying because I again feel that there's some like good things that you didn't bring up and some things where you have to give him some leeway. So like you said, the entire squad left. Ferdinand, Vidic, Evra. A lot of our midfield attack was getting older, and at times our back four was, I kid you not, it was Varela, who is now playing in not even second tier football.
Varela, dude.
Paddy McNair, who plays in the Championship. Tyler Blackett, I don't know who the fuck he is, and Timothy Fosu-Mensah, who's supposed to be really good, but he's a center mid and he was playing right back. And like, dude, what kind and then he had Chris Smalling and Phil Jones, but they were injured so much during his time. And like, then he was trying to implement this philosophy where we're playing like, possession-based football, like Bayern. I mean, like Barcelona does. But it ended up being so boring because we had nothing to penetrate, especially after Di Maria left. We were so slow. It was. We didn't have the players for that system. But I feel like I should say like that he had to rebuild the entire squad, and that's why there's such a huge list of names. But he also had to deliver quickly, so he had to bring in some people like Falcao who were supposed to be really good. But we're coming toward they couldn't play. He went to Chelsea after he completely fucked Chelsea as well.
I think it was just a matter of. I think he also mentioned he's like adapting to the Premier League is obviously way harder for a lot of players, and to come into a team that is now trying to figure out this new era of players, a new era of football and the style, the way they play. Like it was hard for people like Falcao, Di Maria coming from completely different type of leagues. Like they did have quality. Like Falcao was probably at that point one of the most sought out after strikers ever at that point. And when we got Falcao as well, like at that point, I was a little confused, but I get it. Like Percy was on his decline. We had to get Falcao in, so it all made sense to me. Like exactly, but we brought him in on loan, so I guess I think Falcao had a little more left in him than Percy did by that point. I just think I don't. I mean, Van Gaal did had a lot to do, and I don't think people realize that. I think there is this theory that I have, though. I feel like Van Gaal, they should have probably brought in Van Gaal a lot sooner than probably at this point, like where he could have at least been with the older team and then slowly had the time to like. Instead of getting more, I think at that point, as soon as Fergie left, what we needed was, I'm not saying Moyes is not experienced, but we needed someone who's handled like big clubs before. And Van Gaal, exactly. So, and just before he came to United, when he came to United, I was really happy, to be honest. I mean, he had a pretty successful World Cup season with Netherlands to the finals. Okay, they didn't win it, but whatever. But I think that was, I think that's it. I think he just got the sharp end of the sword, and it was tough, dude. I don't think everyone could have done this. And right now, again, we're still in that process of rebuilding, and finally we're getting there, I guess, slowly. But it was a lot for him.
Dude, but like
he was Go ahead.
Yeah, in his defense, absolutely, you guys were spot on. Moyes kind of fucked things up over for him. He had to like sort of take that burden upon himself to rebuild the side and stuff. But man, I just remember like when Van Gaal was. This is the reason why I don't like Van Gaal like as much as like maybe you guys maybe have a lot more pity for him than I do. It was so boring football.
It was.
Like,
it was fucking
very boring football. And I have a stat there as well. United had the most back passes in the Premier League that season with Louis Van Gaal. And we had 3,222 passes, 400 more than Arsenal. And this is putting some sort of perspective onto this. That is very boring football.
Yeah.
There was no way that there was any exciting format of the game. It was one of the years that I, was very bored. Generally,
and we had such quality in our team too, man.
Yeah. And
but you know why, dude? like he only had Di Maria who could penetrate the box. Like it's supposed to be like when you're playing that system, you pass, you pass, you pass. Then you see an opening and someone fast like Martial. That's why when Martial came in, he did so well because then you penetrate that little hole.
Yeah.
But we were playing Young and Valencia on the wing who can't dribble for shit, and we're old. That's my thinking.
Already.
Yeah. And another thing I'm pissed off about is like here's the reason we let go of Johnny Evans. I understand there's like three other like Nani, RVP, and Chicharito left during that time as well, but that's excusable. They were like past their prime, and but yeah, Johnny Evans, Rafael, all these guys like they could have had like a good future with United if if they had like the proper guidance and stuff, and we wouldn't have struggled. We wouldn't have fucked things up a lot more if if it wasn't for Louis Van Gaal. Yeah, well, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and another thing that I found really interesting and that I found is when Van Gaal was hired by Woodward, he was straight up. He's like, this is the only club that I joined, and the club never spoke to me about their philosophies. So I was just like, he's like, every club I've been to has told them about what they're looking for, what their playing style, the kind of philosophy they follow. But at this point, like there was no such conversation ever. So I feel like Van Gaal felt like he was just entering something where now he had to establish his own philosophy and start this whole new era for Manchester United, but that completely failed.
And he was. That's so true. Shit management.
Yeah, completely. So I think that's it when Van Gaal for me, I guess.